Greetings. Welcome to the Chōsen Insight series. I'm John Stanton. I'm the co-founder of Chōsen, and today we're going to be talking about cultivating positivity, but from the perspective of how your brain works. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Chōsen to frame the conversation a little bit. So over the last 7 years, we've run our in-person life optimization experiences in some of the world's most exotic destinations with hundreds of people who are high performers, Olympians, VCs, CEOs, innovators, lifelong learners. And so to say that, we're saying that Chōsen was actually designed to support and evoke positive change in the lives of people who actually experience the most uncertainty. And in the face of uncertainty and stress, adversity, high performing, the overarching principle that all of these people use and that we have as core of our program is that to live an impactful life, a fulfilling life, it's important to build a positive mindset. Now, in the days of COVID and this new normal that keeps coming up in the media, a positive mindset is something that you've heard on Instagram, in the news, conversations with your friends, and this concept is amazing. Our Olympians practice it, our innovator and CEO alumni practice it at their businesses, in their private lives, but so many of us don't really know what it takes to build a positive mindset. And for me, I want to start with this concept of awareness, and awareness of a very important point. I'm here to tell you today that cultivating a positive mindset, positivity, is actually a practice. And the way that your brain works is that it's important to begin with acknowledging that you actually have an inherent bias to negativity. This thing is called the negativity bias. So what does that mean exactly? As humans, we tend to be impacted more by negative events than by positive events. And this negativity bias is actually an evolved trait. It's a survival mechanism. It helped us in the past to acknowledge something that would threaten our survival. So researchers say that we have a proclivity to learn from and use negative information far more than positive information. So let's use a real world example about this. And I'll ask you a question. How do you respond to compliments? Yeah, if you're like me, while they feel nice temporarily, you may respond to someone paying you a compliment with indifference or even maybe distrust. So have a think about how your experience differs from when someone pays you or gives you an insult. Yeah, right? I'll ruminate about it for a long time. It sticks in your mind. Maybe they're right. Self-doubt sets in. It's actually the opposite of what happens when someone pays you a compliment. You actually might take it to heart versus distrust the compliment. Now, I don't want us to spend too much time on this. I just want this awareness to build in that there are hundreds of positive experiences that we have in a day from the moment that we wake up. But like this insult versus compliment issue that we're facing, our negativity bias will focus on the one thing that happened during the day that was negative, that hurt us, that we didn't like, that challenged us, that shook us. You see where I'm going with this? It's an important point. And I'm going to say this again, this negativity bias is an evolved adaptive response. So think about this. Thousands of years ago, as hunter-gatherers, we had to be vigilant for our survival and pay special attention to threats. Our brains are still wired to look for these life-threatening events, the tiger in the bush, so that we can survive them. This is why news media is predominantly negative. It is based on fear on purpose. It is more attention-grabbing to be negative than to have positive coverage. We are more attentive to negative news across cultures than to positive news. We ruminate about the negative. So how do we overcome this? Like this is vital in developing this mindset, this positive mindset. So we go from awareness, step one, to reframing. And that simply means that you can decide to reframe your negative experiences or complaints into positive experiences. And I like using simple, cheeky examples. Let's go with the Chōsen No Complaining Challenge. We do this at all of our live in-person experiences and now all of our virtual training programs. Take notice of how often you complain and then see if you can reframe this into a positive experience. You may notice that you may have a habit of complaining. And, in some places this happens more frequently than others, like rainy London, in December, you might have more proclivity to, tendency to complain than you would in, Honolulu, mid-spring or something like that. But, I basically often say that complaining is actually a cheap bid for attention. You're like in the complaint together with someone. It's like, oh my goodness. And so let's just use an example here in Bali. I can choose to complain about the heat, about the humidity, or I can reframe that complaint into, wow, I'm in Bali. How lucky am I to be here, to have access to the ocean, to this lush tropical climate. This place is truly amazing, because it is. Versus, it's hot, it's humid, the mosquitoes. See where I'm going with it? So finally, I've alluded to the point that I wanted to talk about today a few times, is that cultivating positivity is a practice. It takes determination. It takes practice. So first and foremost, be nice to yourself while you're building your awareness and reframing your complaints into positivity. You can actually rewire your brain. This is the core tenet of neuroplasticity. That means that you can become anything that you practice consistently. And a positive mindset is exactly that. The practice that will lead you to amazing resilience and a more fulfilling life. It's brain science. It's how we work as human beings. It's freaking cool. So, key takeaways here. Awareness of your negativity bias means that you can do something about it. Reframing complaints, for example, will help you tremendously to shift your life experience into a positive direction. And lastly, you are what you practice. We all face rejection, sadness, fear, unhappiness. And when we find ourselves getting stuck on the negative, it will be extremely helpful to be aware of why we're doing so. We're evolutionarily hardwired to focus on negative things, but good news, it is possible to retrain our brains, to become more positive, boost our well-being. Positive mindset is not about eliminating negative thoughts. It's about how we handle them. Awareness, reframing, practice equals an incredible positive life experience. This is John at Chōsen Headquarters, signing off. Thank you so much.